Hi, I'm Tina Hill, and welcome to My Life with Tina. Today's guest is my mother, Taraneh Hill, also known as Tai, who grew up in Iran in the 1950s and emigrated to the United States as a teenager, and she ended up in Indiana. So can you tell me how you ended up in the Midwest in the 1950s?
I'm the last of the four girls, and my oldest sister was already going to college in Indiana. My other two sisters wanted to be teachers, and Ball State College was known second in the nation for teachers college, so they went to school there. And by then, my oldest sister had graduated and was teaching in Indiana, so I went to the same town and lived with American family to learn culture faster and learn language quicker.
So who decided your father had passed away when you were younger? Who decided that you would come here, and how did they tell you?
My father was a visionary, and he could feel the atmosphere in the country changing. And those days, there weren't as many opportunities for students. For every opening, there was 30,000 that was applying. So my father willed, before he passed away, that my mother would send us to America. So when my two sisters were already in America, and my third sister was done with high school, was coming, my mother thought it was best that I stay with them and go with them so that I would be securely out of the country and she would be at peace that the girls are together.
Okay. So back in the 1950s, Iran is very different than how people perceive it or know it now. You know, right now the regime is very oppressive, especially to women. They're covered. But when you were growing up, you grew up in a very different Iran. How was that? Did you wear a chador? Did you?
No, my grandmother's era, the ruler forced everyone to take chador off and scarf off, and they had the option of wearing hat. By my mother's era, nobody wore any of these covers. They were professional women. In fact, all my aunts are professionals, and they worked right along with men in business world. And it was a very modern and wonderful opportunities for women to get into the business world or become an entrepreneur.
Right. So your mother, as a widow, she was in her 40s, a widow in the 1950s, sends all her daughters to the United States. There's no internet, no email, probably no phone calls. I would think she's pretty much of a visionary at that time to be a woman in a Middle Eastern country, sending her daughters to the United States, and then you being the youngest and the last of them, a teenager, to come and finish your adolescent years here. What do you think of your mother for having that kind of vision and doing that? And do you think you could have done the same thing with your children at that time? Because it's very different now.
Well, those days, it was much more difficult because the school system was not familiar what to do with foreign students. And our system back home is completely different than the system here. So to break in the middle of high school and come and start from zero here was very difficult, and I didn't know the language. I had to sit in the classroom, compete with the natives. And I got a lot of bad grades until I caught on. And of course, early American history was my hardest. They thought I was funny. And of course, they always played tricks on me, and I would fall for it because I didn't know all the jokes, all the tricks, and the culture. And the culture is harder to learn than it is academic.
So tell me, what was your first day of school like? And, you know, since they had never had a foreign student there, you know, not like a French or Spanish, and then all of a sudden there's this girl from the Middle East. Did anyone tell them that you were coming? Were they surprised the first day you walked into class? How did you feel during your first day at class?
I felt like souvenir from Mars because they all stared at me, and I was in a big high school, and as I would walk down the hall, all the heads would turn, and if I spoke in the classroom, it'd be dead silence. I was very self-conscious about speaking correctly, and if I made a mistake, I felt terrible. So yes, language was very difficult, but they accepted me with open arms.
How do you think the women or the young girls treated you then? Were they mean girls? Did they pick on you, or were they protective of you against the boys? Or do you think they picked on you in a malicious way, or was it just like kind of fun and you were different and you were cute? And
No, the girls were very kind to me and very helpful, showing me the way. Some were jealous, of course, because the boys, their boyfriends, were paying more attention to me. But I was different. Not that I was anything better than they were, but I was different. But I had wonderful friends. They were very good to me. They accepted me with open arms. I went to their homes. They invited me for dinners. Their parents wanted me over. And it was really nice meeting a lot of nice people and long-lasting friendship.
how did you form your perception? What did you think what America, United States was going to be like?
When I was growing up, we thought America was like what they show in the movies because there was no television. So my sister and I used to watch movies
Like which
like
ones?
Fred Astaire type of movies, or Breakfast at Tiffany type of thing, or Rita
Very
Hayworth.
glamorous.
Very glamorous. I thought America was all New York and Hollywood and stylish.
So what was it like when the first day you walked into class?
Very scared, very scared. I had to memorize names, and just to compete with the natives in the classroom was scary enough.